we'd like to have a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence followed by a roll call.
Pledge allegiance
Yes, to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation,
under
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice
justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Walker,
I'm here.
Mr. Brackville. I know he's here.
Here, trying
Thank
to unmute
Miss-
it.
Sure. Miss Cleaton,
Here.
Mr. Eaton,
Here.
Miss Ombosky,
Here.
Mr. Johnson,
Present.
Mr. Prendergast,
I'm here.
Miss Thompson,
Here.
Miss Tosti Vasey,
I'm here.
Mayor Wilson. I think somebody, yeah, here he is joining right now, so I'll mark him as present.
Okay, thank you.
Who's this?
So all of our votes will be recorded as unanimous when there's no audible opposition. So the first item of business is the approval of minutes from December 7th, 2020. Do I have a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion, Brackville.
I'll second it, Cleaton.
Brackville and Clayton. Any changes? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
So moved. Next is the consent agenda. Unless there are items to be removed, we need a motion to accept all of the 4 that were originally placed on the consent agenda, plus the November 2020 Treasurer's Report.
I'll make that motion.
Prendergast
I'll second Brackville.
and Brackville. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So moved. Okay, we've had a request to remove the Finance Committee report up to this point. So Gina, could you go ahead and do your report?
Yes, thank you. Oh,
Mhm.
sorry. Okay. So let me find it here. So the first thing that you have in your packet is the 2021 annual budget. I'll just do these one at a time. So I would need a motion. This is an
You can
updated.
make, Gina, you can
Oh.
make the motion.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to approve the 2021 proposed budget.
You have a second?
I'll second it,
no.
Johnson.
Well,
Johnson, I heard first.
Yep.
Okay,
Just a quick comment. This budget has no tax increase. I would like to thank Ralph and Don and Joanne and Lori and John Eaton and Doug Johnson for working very hard over this past several months to get this budget balanced. And we've had lots of meetings, and it was very important to us to limit any tax increase because we know that it's been a difficult year for everybody, including the borough. So, so this is $11 million budget. It will be on the website for the public's review. And again, it is a balanced budget with no tax increase.
any discussion?
I will, I guess. I'll
Go
thank the
ahead,
committee. I'll thank the committee for the work they've done. I know residents, if they've paid attention to our previous meetings, that they saw bits and pieces of our discussions on varying departments, and they'd be the general budget or police budgets or anything like that. It was hard to keep track of when you go from a 1 week and then go a week and a half and go another meeting. But I think most people should be happy with this budget.
I think.
Go ahead, Doug.
Great
Go
job.
ahead, Doug.
I second what Randy says, but I would like to let the public know that the borough management staff and the police department have made sacrifices to make this budget work. And I would like our borough staff and the police department, thank them for their cooperation in making this work for us, for all the residents of Bellefonte.
Mike?
I've
Go.
already made mine.
Okay, John?
Well, I'll second the previous comments, but also I encourage the residents. We've went to an improved format this year. Our annual budget is now presented in a very readable document with graphics to highlight where the funds and the expenditures are being made. So I really hope the public does take the opportunity to read the budget, and hopefully we are helping all of our residents become more informed about decisions we're making with their money. So.
Deb, do you have something?
Good job.
Anybody else? Seeing no other comments, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes unanimously. We'll continue.
Okay, thank you. So the next item on the agenda is I would like to make a motion to approve the tax ordinance and resolution.
I'll
I'll
make that
second.
motion.
No, she just made the
Oh,
I
motion.
made the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, Thompson and Clayton. Discussion?
I just wanted to point out, again, if you notice in the tax ordinance that there is no tax increase, they stayed the same. There is a change in millage between the general fund and the streetlight fund. The general fund went up by 0.35 mils and the streetlights went down by 0.35 mils. Everything else remains the same.
I was just going to add, as you know, the borough code changed, or they changed how we approve the budget each year. And because there's no tax increase, the new format is to approve the budget instead of an ordinance, use a resolution. So what I will do is convert this draft ordinance to a resolution. So just keep that in mind. The end document will be a resolution this time around.
Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. Keep going, Gina.
I'm just switching back and forth between screens here. So the third item is I'd like to make a motion to add a line item to the real estate tax bill to show mills for police services.
I'll second that motion, Johnson.
Thompson and Johnson. Comments? No one else has something, I'll say something. Basically, what this is doing is trying to provide the public information on where our general funds go. It is our largest budget, and what it is doing is taking out the section of the general budget and putting the millage on our taxes so that you see how much you all are paying for police services, which we estimate is currently 45% of the general budget. And this way you can see where your money is more accurately going, because right now, with the way we've been doing it before, it was one large pot and you couldn't really tell where all of the different funds were going because it was one big hodgepodge. This way you can see how we have for what we generally consider to be general, what we consider to be police services, and you as the public have a more accurate sense of what's going on. It doesn't change the actual millage. We're just separating out that portion of the general budget into a different line item on your tax bill.
It makes sense if the fire department and EMS are similarly lined out. That just makes a great deal of sense.
Agreed. Go ahead, Randy.
Well, it's my understanding there's only one line open to put anybody on this for the county tax rules. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So my opinion would be that we create our own list of where the millages are going and put it on the website along with the information that Ralph put together, which I thought had that information in, do
Yes, it
like a
does.
pie shape or something like that. And everybody sees where all their taxes are going and what the mills are for those costs, to cover those costs.
You're right, Randy. It is in that pie chart. But I think this is what is going on the tax bill, right?
Correct. That's what the motion is.
Right.
And I just don't see the need to pull out one department when there's monies that go to all, several departments, including government. People should see that. And I think if Ralph's information that's already come out from the work he did, that's on the website now, people should be able to see. Now, it might have changed a little bit with passing this budget. That might have to be cleaned up a little bit. But I think that's the information that they'll be looking at.
Go ahead, Deb.
In addition to this information already being broken down in the budget as it is published and online, I think it would be helpful to have it on the website. It might also be helpful to have that breakdown in the annual Bellefonte newsletter, which comes out about the same time as this first tax bill.
Sounds like a good idea, Deb.
Along with other general borough information, have the breakdown of the taxes.
Looks like Ralph's writing that down, so I think it's going to be a done deal.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
Just to give a little bit of background here, as we do have the other departments broken out, and this was just trying to help be more transparent about our budget. And since we had that line item available, we wanted to offer the public to be able to see the police department budget more transparently, just for education purposes. So everyone's aware of the borough finances. I agree, it is available and will be available on the website, but that takes just one more proactive step. So this was just making it easier for the public to be able to find that information.
Anyone else?
I really disagree. I think this creates a negative look to the police. Yes, they have a large budget. And I just don't see that breaking it out by itself is that important, where people just can't see it on one report where everybody's listed. All the departments are listed. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think this is going to create some angst with the residents, maybe toward the police, maybe not. I could be wrong, but with the way things are going and the way people are talking sometimes these days, it's worrisome to me, because I think we're creating an argument we don't need.
I hear you. I think I understand exactly what you think. Can we get Sean to comment on it? No?
I mean, I have no, either way, it doesn't really, matter to me a whole lot. Everyone knows that policing is expensive. And I think that, that's our job to, make sure the residents know that they're getting a quality service for what they're paying for. And I believe that it's, we keep our costs down when we're asked to and when we need to, if the costs are down. And, I think we'll be okay.
All right.
As far,
Thank you.
I don't think it's that earth shattering.
Madam President, I call the question.
Any objections to calling the question?
Aye.
Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so we have one nay, and that was Randy Brackville. So it passes.
Okay. Okay, so the next thing is to approve the First National Bank proposal for the loan on the property, are we calling it the subway property? And maybe Ralph, or I know Don was working on this, so I don't know if Ralph or Lori could speak more to it.
Well, basically, you know, we did an RFP or a request for proposals from some of the banks we deal with for a property that we are interested in purchasing near Talleyrand Park. And, you know, we looked at borrowing some funds for a 5-year period, and First National Bank had the most attractive terms and conditions. And all three proposals we looked at were reviewed by the Finance Committee, and the Finance Committee is recommending that the borough go with the First National Bank proposal. So just in a nutshell, it's something that wasn't on the radar. It's something that has become available, and it's something that the borough has looked at for approximately 3 decades. You know, and the opportunity has finally come around. So it's one of those things that it's not that we want to, it's just that there's an opportunity to do it now. And we need to borrow the money to do it.
Ralph?
So we need before we can have a good discussion, we need a second to Gina's motion.
I'll make a second.
Who was that? John?
Second.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Now, Ralph, just for clarification for the residents, we're using the money that we're using for this is money that comes from our special projects funds that we get off of the water sales to Coca-Cola and Milesburg.
Yes, that as a special fund, because that water sale, none of that water goes through the system, the distribution system. There's no electricity, no chemical costs. So from day one in 1998, when that agreement was entered into by Bellefonte Borough and some other parties, including Milesburg Borough, you know, the money was always set aside, planned to be used only for capital purchases or matching grants for projects, you know, funds that otherwise we wouldn't be able to get unless we had the local match. So for 22 years, the money's been set aside, and we only use it for special occasions.
So we're not going to be using any tax dollars for this project.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Correct. Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
I
All opposed? So moved.
Okay, then the next thing is there was a letter in your packet from DCED on the CDBG FY 2020 allocation. It's being increased by $22, and they explain in the letter, bringing our streetscape to $95,212 of our CDBG funding.
And no motion is needed.
No motion, that's
Oh.
just informational.
You said everything we're supposed to say. You had the total in there,
Oh, yeah.
right? $95,212.
Yeah,
This is for federal fiscal year 2020, and we need to have this in the minutes. So I'll double check the minutes, make sure it's there.
okay. Thank you.
Thanks. And then finally, I would like to make a motion for the 2021 fee schedule that is in your packet.
Thompson and
Johnson will second that.
Johnson.
Just a couple of notes in the fee schedule. There is a new hard fee of $25 for your application. That's just across the board. Grass and brush has gone up $15 a year per container. It was 10. And then commercial recycling for the businesses has gone up to $50.50 a month. And recycling has gone up $15.75 a quarter. Those are direct pass-throughs. And then special collections is changing. I'm not going to read all of the special collections, but most of them I think they went up to $25 and they were 10. So that's all the notes I have for the fee schedule.
In addition to that, we passed an ordinance where we're taking out the red parking meters and turning them into parking permits. So there's a new schedule for parking permits for $20 for residents who live in front, where those red meters are, so they can park there for $20 a month. For residents who live outside, are not living on those particular streets, but want to have a parking permit on the streets, it's $25 a month. All other commuters are $30 a month. And then for businesses, we're doing a pilot program of $50 a month per parking space in the parking lots, plus the cost of sign installation for the businesses requesting a designated parking spot with a maximum of 2 parking spots per business.
Joanne, I think you might have skipped over the business owner's fee for long-term parking. Did you include that?
That's what I was just talking about.
I think that's reserved spaces for businesses. At
Okay,
$50.
what are you talking about?
Talking about business owners who want to pay a monthly parking fee in the red meter.
That's the commuter parking.
And
That's
it's
the
20, 25 or 20?
30.
30.
Yes, 30.
Doug, are you talking about in the lot, like down there where the streets committee met and talked about the business owner who wanted to rent spaces?
No, I'm talking about, and I'll just use Confer's as an example. If an employee wants to park long-term, I thought we were offering them a parking permit at a reduced cost, similar to the residence parking. I think it's a $5 more, but I guess I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, that wasn't the recommendation from the committee. I think we did lower the original amounts when we got to looking at what, the lot price versus the on-street price. We did end up lowering all the prices in consideration of parking out there.
Okay, just to take up more time, could you go through that one more time, Joanne? I sort
Yeah,
of
let me pull it up. Let me pull it up to give you make sure I'm saying it accurately. Hold on a second.
Hang in there, Mayor. We'll get to it.
I'm in the wrong folder. Hold on.
Patience. Tom.
That's okay. That's okay. I just sort of got confused when you were talking about residents and businesses. I know there's a commuter permit, but I thought that we had reduced it for business owners.
Okay, so let me get parking permits for the north lot are $45 a month. South lot is $45 a month. West lot is $35 a month. With the pilot program of $50 per month per parking space plus the cost of sign installations for businesses requesting a maximum of 2 parking spaces per businesses in the west lot. In terms of on-street parking,
Right.
residents where the red meters are would be $15 a month. Resident commuters are those who are residents within the borough who want to have a parking space downtown would be $20 a month on the street. And then commercial permits are $25 a month.
Great.
That's
Thank you
different.
very much.
That was
Joey.
different than you first reported.
Right, that's why I just said I wanted to look it up to be sure I was accurate.
Yeah, that's where I thought the 30 was a little high.
Okay,
Thank you for clarifying that.
you're welcome.
And the other thing, I know you said northwest and south lots. Most people, I don't think, know the new names of those lots.
Okay, the west is what is next to the CVS. The north is the one is on South Spring Street. And the north one is the one behind First National Bank.
Thanks so much. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Any other questions? Ready to move to a vote?
Good
Yeah.
idea.
Okay. In that case, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? So moved.
That concludes my report.
Do you have any more questions for Gina before she goes on vacations?
Thank you.
Have
All
a good
right.
vacation, Gina.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
Gina.
Bye.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Good holidays.
Bye. Merry Christmas,
Stay
Happy
safe.
Holidays,
And you.
Happy New Year.
Enjoy.
Okay,
Christmas.
okay. See ya. Now I gotta go back to find my notes where I'm supposed to be. Hold on a second.
Communications written.
Ralph, do you want to start?
Oh, we're down to communications, written communications. So the first letter is from the Boy Scouts interested in doing the Duck Derby like they've done the last couple of years. They're proposing to do it Saturday, June 20th between 1 and 2, and it's at the Big Spring outflow. Same precautions if necessary, depending on what's going on. They're welcoming any conditions, and they'll have things in place if
So-
necessary.
So let me say, I think this might be slightly out of order because I believe we already approved the tentative date of June 20th, 21, with the caveat that the final permission would occur sometime in the spring once we know what's happening with the COVID vaccines and the reopening guidelines for Pennsylvania.
Okay, I didn't recall that. Of course, I saw the letter in the packet. But
Yeah,
if
but I
you-
think we already gave them tentative approval, but they had to come back in the spring for the final review with the COVID guidelines.
Maybe they think this is spring.
Well, if you look at the date, it's back in the fall, early fall, so this is an old letter, actually.
All righty, we'll say come back in the spring, but tentatively okay.
Yeah, okay. Keep going.
Sure, next item is Trinity United Methodist Church would like to close West Howard Street from Spring over to Locust for Christmas Eve service, the 24th, of course, from 6:30 PM to 8:30 PM. Looking for permission.
Okay.
I'll
So
make-
we would need a motion to approve the Trinity United Methodist Church request for the closure of West Howard Street between Locust Lane and North Allegheny Street for an in-car Christmas Eve religious service. All participants, according to the letter, will remain in their vehicles and listen to the service over an FM frequency.
Ethan, I'll make that motion.
I'll
Okay,
second it.
who was
I had
seconding
something.
it? Prendergast, okay. Now we can have discussion. Go ahead.
If
Go ahead,
we
Sean.
put down in the minutes that to remind someone, maybe the event, the church, that they need to contact 911 to let them know that they're going to close that down.
Okay,
That's minor.
Do you notify fire chief?
The 911 system will
Will they? Okay.
Yeah, they'll make sure everyone knows. In
According
case something happens, they can reroute everybody.
Sean, Chief Weaver, according to the letter, they indicated that they had spoken with the police department.
Yeah, we had met, yeah, they did, but we deferred them to the council to get permission.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I can't, I just don't arbitrarily give permission to close the street down.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It was just that it seemed like they asked you guys and they said, hey, we got the police were great with it. Can we have permission?
As long as you guys are okay, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I think that was just the first person they thought to reach out to, John, is what happened.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I always defer them to you guys.
Yeah, you know those devious church people.
Yeah.
Is there a motion here?
Yes, the motion was made by Eaton, seconded by Prendergast for an in-car religious service.
Yeah, okay.
All the questions.
Any objection? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? So moved. Okay, done. Next one, Ralph.
Well, the next, I'm going to sort of open this up because it's kind of a broad topic. It's about the issue. We received a couple of letters about the in-restaurant dining because of the COVID restrictions set forth by the governor. There was some letters that we received and some articles that were in, I think, the Gazette, that people were questioning, you know, what is the official position. So I think we wanted to try to convey that to anybody listening, what our position is and how things will generally work. I know Sean has been in touch with a couple of the restaurants that were, I guess, pointed out in the article or in the letters. So I'm just going to turn it over to Chief Weaver and maybe the mayor at this point to clarify.
Well, just let me speak briefly. We worked on this week. It was Sean and Joanne and I sent a couple emails back and forth on procedures. Sean did some clarification on how this is supposed to work through the state, and I'll let him fill you in if that's necessary. We do have a procedure set forth, and also, like you said, Ralph, Sean has already been in touch with a couple of the people that have been pointed out. So, I guess for clarity for everybody else, Sean, you're going to have to go through that procedure that the state is asking us to follow.
Okay. So I was contacted by PSP today by one of their dispatchers. So we get information over what we call the scope, and it's the clean system. It's how law enforcement sends out a broad message and it hits every police department in the state, and it's over a teletype. So the way that they're doing it is whenever the Department of Health gets a complaint called to them regarding COVID guidelines, the governor's orders, automatically put a scope message out to the state police. The state police will take that message and route it to the local barracks closest to the local jurisdiction. If that town has a police department, then the state police will forward that scope message to that local police department. If not, then the state police will handle the follow-up on the complaint. So the way we're handling it is if we're not going out looking for anything, we're not like the COVID police. However, if something was brought to our attention through, the 911 system or the scope message, then we will do our due diligence and look into investigate it and hopefully come to a good resolution for everybody involved. And that's what's happening now. We had one complaint via the 911, came into the 911 center, and about one particular establishment. Reached out to the owner on Saturday. The owner was not in the state. So I talked to spoke with the general manager, and of course the general manager did not have the authority to pull the plug on the operation right then, but we'll be speaking with the owner tomorrow. And I guess we're going to go through the way that we're going to do it is educate and request compliance. And that will, play out as to whether there's the circumstance, if there's a second warning, and then ultimately it would be the discretion of the police department to issue a citation. And the citation would be a summary level. The fine is set by the magistrate, or actually the fine is set by the crimes code. From there, obviously they have a right to appeal that citation, to contest it. And right now, currently, the research from what I've done is that the current, I think it was down in Lancaster, the cases that were down there are in a state of stay. The governor has them on a state of stay because of they were found not guilty, and then there's refiled it, and it's going to a higher court for another determination. So they're in a state of stay right now, and I don't know the results of all the court proceedings or the citation that ended up in a reversal or a guilty or non-guilty verdict. But it's very it's a touchy subject. We're talking about people's livelihoods. I'm handling them personally. I'm not, I don't want the officers to handle these complaints. They're hard situations, but we'll get through them. And if you have any comments or any concerns about it, feel free to shoot me an email. But as far as I'm concerned, the general consensus of council is that we're not to be, nor do we want to be the, walking around and acting like the big COVID police, I guess. But it's a serious issue, though. It's a health and safety issue, and then you're talking about people's livelihoods too. So it's a tough spot to be in, but we'll take care of it.
I have every faith in you, Sean.
Yes, Melissa.
Mayor will help me out, and Joanne.
If I did a statecollege.com article that went locally viral that said I was dealing weed out of my house, that would be a situation where you wouldn't be like, we don't go looking for trouble. Like if I ever decide to sell weed at my house, I hope you have the same attitude about it, because that's, to me, is comparable. I'm not even on Facebook. And I was forwarded this 5 times by 5 different people who were majorly pissed off because we look like a bunch of hillbilly idiots. This isn't something I want to see in my community. I don't think it's fair to the amount of work that businesses, the amount of sacrifice that my clients are making across this county by actually being shut down. And then you have people who are this article basically says no one's going to do anything to us because the state police don't give a care. So I'm mad. I know a lot of people who are mad. So I want something done about this. That's my position. I don't know the rest of council.
It's a no-win situation.
And I'm doing something about it. We're taking care of it. It's just,
Takes time.
You have to treat people with empathy too. So,
Well, let me interject there. There's a system set up, Melissa, through the state to handle this. The local police are complying with the system that's set up by the state. They're not Gestapo. They're not going in. And if you were selling weed from your house, we probably wouldn't bust your door down either. We would ask you not to do that any longer. Give you a first warning.
That's a good note. I'll take that note.
He didn't tell you about the confiscation.
I do that, the confiscation.
But seriously, folks, I mean, you know, Melissa, when she's selling weed from her house, you know.
Let's get on a different topic. Let's get on a
Yes.
different, let's talk about this
Someone's
topic.
probably
Let's
not going, possibly
Point of
not
order.
going to die. Whereas we're talking about something where somebody could contract the virus. So, I mean, I appreciate Melissa trying to put it in a more comical manner, but you know, yeah, it is a serious issue. I understand people want to make a livelihood, but you know, our state, I think we are number 4 in the country relative to fatalities per capita. And if you look at the counties to our south and west, they're the areas with the most highest death rates per capita in Pennsylvania. So this is serious. And, you know, I understand the guy wants to make a living, but on the other side, we also have to say, yeah, we need people to pay attention to the guidelines to keep everybody safe.
Well, John, we are paying attention to the guidelines, and I'll state it once again. The state has set up a procedure, and we are following the procedure. If it's not fast enough, you want to get to your state reps and talk to them and ask them to change that procedure. But right now, we're doing what we need to do.
Randy, you had something to say?
Yeah, I want to go back to the beginning of all this because there's been questions about where does Bellefonte fall into this and what do we want to see? And, you know, we had started an ordinance, which when Governor Wolf came out with these new guidelines, made theirs more strict than ours. So we went with the resolution, and the resolution was to follow the guidelines provided by the governor. And that's basically where we are with this. The resolution does not have any teeth in it, but the guidelines that Governor Wolf put out did give local authorities the authority to go out and police those areas where the complaints come into and provide education to it. And it has to be a citation, but I'll take it another step forward. We don't have a health department. So we have to rely on the Pennsylvania Health Department. And if they want to take it farther than our police can, and I don't know what if our limit is a citation, what happens after that citation? If things continue. Now this is going to be over in about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, you know, if a phone call to the Pennsylvania Department of Health only leads back to the police, is it just a circle around? Or does Pennsylvania take authority of it? I don't know, but all we can do is what we're allowed to do.
Don, you were saying something?
Yeah, I don't know what the this is uncharted territory, so I don't know if the business receives a citation, if they you know, don't comply after the first citation. I don't know what happens after that. I would have to consult the DA.
Well, if they have a plan, that should be in the plan. Evidently, the plan you guys are
And I don't. Yeah, there's a lot of questions that I have about the plan that don't fall under the rules of criminal procedure that we normally follow. So
right.
I believe.
Mike,
that-
go ahead, Mike. Go ahead,
I
Mike.
believe that Sean has got a handle on it. Yeah, I think he's going to do his best, and we should just let it play out. That being said, it's not fair to the other businesses that did shut down to let these guys stay open.
Go ahead, Melissa.
I know I took a comical tone, but the reason why this shutdown happened, just for people who are watching us at home, is because areas that see increased credit card receipts for dine-in restaurants have a higher rate of COVID, and areas that have closed down restaurants have seen a decrease in deaths in that area from COVID. There's science and math behind it. I don't want to be a jerk or like take too comical of a tone, but it's a serious, serious situation, and we're facing serious times. And I know that our police department cares about our community, but this to me is pretty flagrant, and it sets a bad tone for the work that a lot of Bellefonte residents have done to make the place that we live more desirable.
Yeah,
Thank
on
you,
the other-
Melissa. I agree 100%.
Well,
I
Yeah.
do too. Yeah, but you do have to give time for the procedures to work.
And finish what you're trying to say.
I think that I think we're almost conditioned to kind of gauge the seriousness of something by taking a body count. How many people die from this? However, it's people who recover from this have illnesses and ailments that are long lasting, sometimes permanent heart damage, liver, lungs. It's not just the body count, and we have to realize that. And I'm done.
Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, I agree. I think, to me, it's, what bothers me is the number of people that have contracted it. Yes, the deaths are there, but I think there's numbers out there that might be getting a little misconstrued with the cause, because some of the older folks that are in nursing homes are not going to restaurants, but they're the ones who seem to be suffering at this point in time the most as far as deaths go. But I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with that. I lost my train of thought from there, but I think it's important that residents take responsibility for what they do, where they go, and how they handle protection of themselves and their families.
That's true too.
Anyone else have any other comments on this? Go ahead, Doug.
I sort of touching on what Randy said. The restaurants may be open and encourage dining in, not outwardly, but it's the responsibility of each individual to comply with what the state has put into place. So some folks need to take we always seem to shift the responsibility to somebody else. You have to look at yourself. These folks, they need to be convinced that this is serious. If the business is open and nobody goes into it, we won't have this problem, but people don't seem to think this is real. And I understand if the door is open, people are going to come in, but you as an individual, and I think most of our council members, we take responsibility and don't patronize those places. I don't know how you convince others of doing what we're trying to express.
There are always going to be irresponsible people, and we can't ignore that. I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Doug.
I do. Sean has done, or the police department has done a good job. From what the correspondence that I've seen, I thought Chief Weaver's response was very reasonable. And
I agree.
I hear both ends, Melissa, I really do. Like the mayor says, it's so difficult. You would hope that individuals would take the responsibility and not patronize these places. But like Mike said, we can't control those things. So
I think I will say one thing just to follow up. I am pleased with what Sean has put together. I was interviewed by the Center Daily Times a week and a half ago on this issue, and basically said exactly what Sean has been saying. We're here for education. We're not here to hurt our local businesses. However, we are also, as council members, required to look at the safety of our community, and which is why we passed this resolution. And as such, we will continue to follow the governor's orders until we can have the vaccine and everything is lifted. Thank you, Sean, for what you're doing.
Keep up the good work.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
Thank
Sean.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
So if there's no other comments, we'll move on. Any other written comments? Ralph?
Nothing that I know of under written communications.
Ralph, there was a letter I sent concerning the snow hauling out to Governor's Park. And I think
Oh,
your
That's
response-
down under, that's further down.
Okay, okay, I didn't see it.
That's further down.
Yes, there's a couple of places where we'll talk about snow removal.
Okay, good enough. I missed it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone have any oral communications? Seeing none? Mayor Wilson, you're on.
Okay, there was something on the agenda that I was supposed to report on, but I don't have an agenda in front of me, so I don't.
What
Second.
about Bellefonte being second place?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I'm sorry it's not first place, and I had absolutely nothing to do with it. I'm not sure we all did, but I think it's a joint effort. I'm not sure how valid the survey is, but it's nice to get some national recognition or state recognition anyhow, which is kind of cool. You know, the only other thing I wanted to bring up, and this was something I promised a couple citizens who have been gabbing on social media, and maybe Ralph can speak to this. I guess this is under the heading of citizen clarity. There has been, I guess, some water bills have gone out, which have been pretty high, and I don't know what to tell the people when they stop me on the street and say, "What's going on with these water bills?" So maybe
Sure.
maybe someone can talk about that.
Sure. This year is unprecedented, and we had staff working from home. So for after the first quarter, so the second and third quarter is when the COVID hit. We estimated bills for 2 quarters. And then this quarter, even when people were working from home, because of the issues with the bills, we said no matter what, we would read the meters. So that was done, and the bills were sent out. But what happened is, 6 to 7 months went by, and if you either had a leak or used a lot of water more than usual, your bill's going to be a little higher, and you may not have, we wouldn't have caught it. Ordinarily, we may have caught it, or you might have caught it 3 months ago, but that's creating some problems. Again, it's unprecedented. It's unusual. It's, we were not able to have people in cars and try to do things, early on. This was all new to us. We try to be extra cautious. So this time around, we did something different and read the bills, but that's creating some people calling and asking why their bill's higher than normal. And we're addressing those calls as they come in.
Okay.
Getting
I
caught up.
didn't know if you were getting any calls or not. I would
Yes.
assume you would. Okay. All
That's
right.
what-
Well, I know I've been asked 4 times to clarify that for me.
Yes,
Okay. I'll find out.
Yeah, we
Just
did
getting
absolutely.
caught up.
Yes, we went out of our way to read the bills and send out leak letters and do everything we could, try to get caught up, even though we still have people working from home.
All right.
Well-
Thank you.
Sure.
Deb?
It's completely realistic that over the last 6 to 8 months, everybody's been spending a whole lot more time at home
Yeah,
than they normally would be. So
Yes.
your residential water usage is going to go up.
yes.
Certainly.
Okay,
John?
well, all I can say is Ralph has just answered my question that I don't have to tell him to come out and have the guys check my water meter to replace it because it's obviously defective, because I've used less water in the last 3 billing periods than I've ever used in my time in Bellefonte.
I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, so I am the outlier. It
Hey,
is possible for it to be lower.
You should
Okay.
take a shower once in a while.
I'm retired now,
Ralph-
Mike. A lot of things are slipping.
Okay.
Ralph, do you have it?
Go ahead.
Ralph, do you
Melissa.
have numbers on if we have seen an increase in water consumption or an increase in any of our utilities now that people are at home?
There has been a little shift. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think our residentials are a little bit higher than the commercials. Of course, commercials aren't having the dine-ins and so on. So yeah, there is a little bit of a shift. I think it's noticeable.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That's the end of my report, other than to say happy holidays to everybody out there and be safe and be
Okay.
smart.
So I think that the next part of this goes over to Sean. Because I asked Ralph about this afternoon, because they were in the packet, but there was nothing to say where they were supposed to go. One of them is the monthly police report from November 2020, and the other is the parking meter reports that Don put together.
Right, so what we're gonna do is, the next report that the animal control and the parking, when they complete that, I'll just put it in my police report. If that's okay with you, just consolidate it.
Yeah.
That's fine with council. Is there anything on either report that you're missing or you want to see or have any problems with?
I thought the animal control and parking report was excellent. That's all we needed to have in that report. And I compliments to the new employees. They gave us a really nice little report. I was completely happy with that.
Oh no, they're doing a great job. You'll read my next report for December's. They just a real quick side note. We had a dwelling fire on Logan Street, and both of them, without hesitation, they both put on their safety vests and helped direct traffic. And Lucas went up, and there's people trying to get back into the house, and he made sure they didn't get back into the house. So my officers were pretty impressed with them. So they're doing great. They are doing a good job. No complaints.
They seem very good.
Yeah.
Yep. They're doing a great job.
Good.
Okay. Anything else for the mayor or Sean at this point? Seeing none. It's my turn.
Hallelujah.
I have two different reports. The first one is that there have been two news articles on our climate action plan that came out in the last 2 weeks. The first one was a radio spot in NPR's AlleghenyFront.org. Kara Holsapple summarized DEP's program assisting local communities in creating the climate action plan. And her spot highlighted Monessen in Western PA and Bellefonte as example communities working with the state to help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The second one was an article on the front page of yesterday's Center Daily Time. It talks about how Center County is feeling the effects of climate change and what local leaders and communities are doing about it. Milheim, State College, the State College Area School District, and Bellefonte were highlighted. The other item is a meeting that Don and I attended last Thursday, December 17th. We met with Daniel Krieger. He's the executive director of the Association of Climate Change Officers out of Washington, D.C. He's working with DEP to set up a Pennsylvania Climate Leadership Academy, similar to the one currently functioning in Maryland. This is a totally free program for the borough, for boroughs throughout the state under a contract with DEP. Just to give you a little bit of background on it, for the past several months, Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection has been undergoing an agency-wide climate change training program, which is led by their contractor, the Association of Climate Change Officers, or ACO, which Daniel Krieger is a part of. They're currently in phase 4 of the program, which is the creation of this Pennsylvania Climate Leadership Academy. It is expected to be similar to Maryland's program, and the program for Pennsylvania will most likely include education and training programs for mid-level practitioners and senior executives in local and state government agencies and the private sector who have job roles related to planning, infrastructure, emergency management, energy, facilities, resilience, sustainability, environment, operations, or risk management. In addition, there'll be training programs tailored specifically for elected and appointed officials in state and local government, as well as for city and county managers to assist in policy development for climate mitigation, an online learning center, and resources materials to assist communities in creating and furthering their climate action plans. We had expected Mr. Krieger to be with us this evening, but other obligations did not allow that. So what we're hoping is that he'll be able to come before council sometime in the near future to do a short presentation on the program and how we might interact with it. Any questions? That ends my report. So moving on, and building and property.
Apparently signage for long-term parking has been ordered. And it says staff working on building a spot on the website where parking permits can be purchased online. That would be great. That's what I.
Any comments or questions?
Any idea how long that's gonna take?
I don't personally know. Ralph, do you know?
Hopefully, early January, we'll have things wrapped up.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Anything else for building and property? Any questions? Seeing none? We've already done finance, so we'll move on to Parks and Rec. Melissa?
I have no report.
Any questions? Seeing none, moving on to Human Resources. John?
Okay, we have 5 candidates that I know of for the zoning planning HARB position, and we've received those. Council members have received them. We're currently in process of trying to come up with the HR meeting for the review of the general review of candidates, and there'll be a down select to 2 finalists, I imagine, at that meeting. And the meeting, if other council members want to be part of that meeting, that request was made at a previous meeting, and we said that we would give council members that opportunity. Please let us know. But right at the moment, Ralph and Joanne, have we finalized the time for that meeting?
Yes. It's Wednesday.
Which Wednesday?
Wednesday, December 23rd.
Starting at 3.
Okay, so we were next week. Now we're back to the 23rd.
Well, most of them are this week. One will probably be next week.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we'll
And then the second round, once we've narrowed down from 5 to 2, maybe 3, will be in one of the first 2 weeks of January.
Okay. So if any of the other council members want to be part of that review process, let Ralph and Joanne know so that we can let you know when the meetings will be. Ralph, do you want to handle Mr. Berger's retirement?
Well, Mr. Berger is one of the ones in the streets department that was early on. We came up with a program about early retirement because of COVID issues and concerns about lowering our costs that we have. And in August, I think was our internal deadline. Mr. Berger said he was going to retire, but he was sort of back and forth. He has told us he's going to retire. So there's 2 members of the streets department that we will be losing through retirement. And our plan going forward is to look at hiring sometime in the spring to start to work our way back to where we're at. But anyway, the note here is just that we will be down another person as of December 31st.
Okay. And congratulations to Mr. Berger on his retirement.
Thank you.
And for the and we did have a human resources meeting, at which time we were reviewing the PMRS, the Pennsylvania Municipal Employees Retirement System IRS compliance documents. We thought that we could just approve them by a resolution. It appears that we need an ordinance, so we will have to advertise them, and we will then approve those at the first meeting in January.
So I believe what I'm hearing, John, is that you're asking for a motion to advertise the ordinance
Yes,
on the PMRS IRS compliance documents.
that would be correct, Joanne.
I will second that.
Eden and Prendergast. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? So moved. Anything else, John?
No, it's Randy's turn.
Go ahead, Doug.
Being a member of the authority, Borough Authority, I would like to be present at those interviews as a representative of the authority, because I'm sure this person, whoever it may be, will have some interaction with the authority. So Ralph, if I could be,
Yeah.
I guess the first one will be December 23rd at 3 p.m. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay, Randy,
Okay,
safety.
2 items on the safety part of the agenda. One is Center County Hazardous Mitigation Plan, draft plan review meeting. That's set for Thursday, January 7th at 2 p.m. That goes from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. and then a second meeting, 7 to 8 p.m. Both meetings are the same information. So there's just basically 2 different time options that you can use in order to join that meeting if that's what you wish to do. And I think they do require an RSVP, and then basically with your name and title and your community and the time of the meeting that you plan to attend. And then I think they'll send you a link in order to join at that time.
Actually, the link is in one of their handouts that they sent.
Oh, okay, down below here.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking at, okay. So that information should all be there. And then the other item I have is a Hartman letter of support for GPS system. I believe this is for the
Ralph, do you want to
public
speak about
works
it?
people, Ralph?
Sure. Early on, probably a year or so ago, our insurance company did an evaluation of our vehicles and we had changed carriers. So in part of that discussions and review, one of the recommendations was to add these GPS units to vehicles. It tracks, everything from maintenance to speed, braking, you name it. There's a wealth of information, plus some safety factors that go along with having these devices on our vehicles. So from that point, of course, with COVID, everything was put on the back burner, but we're starting to circle back, and we tried to pick up where we left off, and we talked to the finance committee in the budget season, and we all decided it was worthwhile to implement these GPS units. We did some research on a company and a vendor through CoStars, have it all set up, so it is in the budget. Our insurance company just wants you as elected officials to know they're very supportive of this effort. And hopefully in the long run, if our costs go down or any claims go down, the borough stands to benefit from that side.
So there's no motion made necessary at this point, correct?
No, it's just informational at this point.
Okay,
And that's my report. Thank you, Ralph.
Sure.
Any questions for safety? Seeing none, moving on to
One thing, I
Yeah.
do want to compliment the fire department on their quick response to the house fire over on Logan Street this past couple weeks ago or last week. It could have got
That's nice.
dangerous over there, but I think they handled it very well, keeping everything under control. As
It'd
well
be a
as
calamity stricken area of the borough.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Randy. Doug, your turn.
Real quick, water or sewer and refuge rates will go up, $5 increase per quarter. And for water usage, we're adding 5 cents per 1,000 gallons. And the reason have the increase for the sewer and refuse is we just completed a major overhaul of the sewage wastewater treatment plant and increases in our fees at the transfer station. So we're raising it $5 a quarter and 5 cents per 1,000. Ralph, I'll let you dig into the legal report if you choose to do that.
Well, we don't much on the agenda. We are waiting for the water side. We're waiting on a final agreement, final draft that involves Coca-Cola Milesburg and the bulk water system that we have, the bulk water sales. As soon as I get it, whichever meeting comes first, whether it's the authority or council, that'll determine which group sees it first. But both entities will have to sign off on it and approve it in a public meeting. So we're waiting on that. That's probably the main legal item that I can speak to at this point.
Right. The other, we're going to, I think I'm making the recommendation that we put our holiday schedule for refuse collection on the website, or we always put it in our newsletter, but for folks that aren't contacted by the call service, the refuge collection dates will be available on the website. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, we'll do both. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Okay, seeing none, I guess we can move on then. Streets, Deb?
Yes, in your packet is a copy of the brand new parking meter summary for October, November of this year. It's broken down by street meters and the kiosks in the parking lots. It's broken down by what was collected by cash and what was collected by credit card. I do have a question about the report on November's kiosk transaction report. It says cash not collected.
I have to check with Dawn on that. I'll let them know your question and we'll try to get back to you.
Okay.
I think I had the same question. Why was there nothing in that particular line?
I don't think, the way I read that was they just didn't collect it at that point. It seemed to me like they were doing it every other week or something like that. But that was just by viewing what they had.
Okay, so it could just be a timing.
Could be.
I'll find out.
Okay, and I did have a question from a resident about the use of debit cards with our new system, and they said they were having trouble using a debit card, but credit cards were working. And I wondered if you had any feedback about that.
Again, instead of speaking kind of off the cuff, I'll verify that we take debit cards, or if there's any issues with debit cards, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Usually my debit card will default to a credit card. I don't know if that's normal or what.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just a question posed to me and I said I'd follow up on it. So are there any other questions about the report?
Parking fee? No.
Nope. That's all I have.
Okay. Going back to what Randy said, I thought this fit here in with streets. there was a letter that came in to Randy and me over the weekend complaining about nighttime hauling of snow, keeping people awake along Governor's Park Road. I talked to Ralph this afternoon and we've decided to refer the complaint to streets to figure out how to deal with this issue.
This
I
was
would-
night.
I was just gonna just add, we're happy, we as in myself, Dawn, our supervisors, to be in that committee meeting to discuss our operations. There's a lot to be said about a 16-inch snowstorm. But anyway, we're happy to meet and show you and talk to you about what we've done, and we're open to ideas, how to improve things.
So what's going on when we have this big a snowstorm is we have our streets crew, we have other members of our public works going out, but because of such a large storm, we also hire out, contract out to other groups that haul away snow to come in. And what we need to do is figure out is what's going on, the timing and all of this. So that's a discussion we can have in the streets committee. And
Okay.
I think what we could do is if we could have this in the next couple of weeks, if possible, that would be helpful, just in case we have another big storm.
Sure.
Yeah, beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I
They
think
should
the
dump it
sooner the
in.
better.
Maybe they should just dump it in the stream.
Yeah, that worked out.
Yeah.
Well, Tom,
So
if you wanna see
Randy,
what
I
was-
did say we would bring it up. So this is
Yeah,
where I thought it was.
If anybody wants a copy of that letter, I'll be happy to send it to you. If you have input on it, that'd be great. Just let me
No,
know.
all in all, I think the streets committee or whoever was the main group with the plows did an excellent job.
I
All
do
things
too.
considered, absolutely.
I do
Yeah.
too, Randy,
I think Ralph's statement that, and Joanne, we had a 17-inch, 15-inch snowfall. This is a rare occurrence. It's going to be inconvenient for once or twice. So get over it, I'm sorry.
It's inconvenient
Actually,
for everybody in some way. So, deal
Yeah.
with it. Just look him in the eye and say, I'm sorry, but you'll have to deal with it.
I
I was
myself,
gonna say,
I think it's controllable. I think we can look at time slots and things like that. I'm not saying anybody did a bad job. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
no, I
based
didn't
on-
think-
Based on the complaint that I got, it was due to the noise and the speed and not stopping at stop signs. That was the gist of the letter.
Yeah, okay.
Understood.
Randy, could you forward that to me?
Yep, I will do
All
that.
right, thank you.
Any other things for streets? Seeing none, energy and environment, Mike?
I actually have no report this week.
Okay. So in that case, any questions for him on the nothing report? Okay, moving on to community affairs, Ralph.
Sure. We have nothing under zoning and planning this evening. For HARB, there was no official recommendations for certificates of appropriateness. I did do one administrative approval. It's what we call the Girl Scout House at 115 West Howard Street. It was just a shingle roof replacement, architectural shingle, and downspout and gutters with that. That is all I have.
Could I go back to the zoning and planning just to quickly talk about what was discussed there, although no decisions were made, was the short-term rentals.
Yes, I sent out the minutes today. They came in over the weekend, I believe. So, and I looked through them and sent them out to you. But yes, the Planning Commission has looked at the short-term rental ordinance, or what we call the Airbnb type ordinance, off and on. And I think they're getting ready to a final draft. So hopefully within a meeting or two, you will see the draft. It'll be recommended for approval to council. So I expect that hopefully will happen in January. But there are a couple complaints or a couple issues with short-term rental houses that basically become a hotel in a residential area. And then it doesn't stop there. People or the industry, the sharing industry, you know, you can rent out a swimming pool, you can rent out a hot tub or whatever, you know, all kinds of things that you just wouldn't even have thought about a couple years ago. So our residential quiet neighborhoods could easily become commercial hubs if you have all these amenities. So, and it's happened. Unfortunately, it's happening in a R1 low density neighborhood in the borough. So, you know, we're going to try to address what we can as much as we can.
Okay. Do we still, we do have the animal code report that Sean already talked about, and we did not have a nuisance code report.
That's correct.
Any questions on community affairs? Seeing none, special committee reports. I don't have any. Does anybody else have any? Okay. In that case, moving right along to old business.
That
The-
one, I was
Go
going to, that
ahead.
one's you. The
That one's
Reggie
up.
letter's you.
Okay, there's, in your packet is a coalition letter in support of Reggie, and I need someone to, a motion to approve the letter in support of Reggie and send it to the Pennsylvania Environmental Quality Board.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
Clayton,
it.
Clayton and Pendergast. Discussion? Seeing none? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? So moved. Next one is the 2021 Bellefonte Borough holiday schedule.
And meeting.
I have a question for Ralph. Do we need a motion to approve since some of these days don't actually fall on the actual holiday, or is it just because or can we just put it into the slot? In other words, July 4th and the Christmas holidays are not the same as the actual dates.
Well, they're recognized holidays. We follow the union contract. So it's just a way to get the word out when the office is closed. So if the holiday, you know, we follow the wording of the contract, usually both the police union and the public works are very similarly worded. So
this is just an informational thing mostly, or is this,
Well-
does it need a motion to accept it?
I'd recommend you approve it, accept it, and then we'll post it so everybody knows that that's our holidays that we follow.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the holiday schedule.
I'll make
the
that
motion.
motion.
Okay, who was that first?
Doesn't matter.
Pendergast and Eaton.
Okay, Prendergast and Eaton. Okay,
That's also the meeting schedule and the refuse schedule, right?
well, no, that's in two other items.
All right.
There's a problem with the holiday schedule. You need to switch
Are we voting on both of these or one?
just the holiday schedule at this
All right, well,
point.
we have the motion. Why don't we just go ahead and approve that one then?
That's what I'm talking about. There's a problem with it.
I thought we were doing the meeting schedule.
No, it's the borough holiday schedule, not the meeting schedule.
What's the problem?
The problem is that in the list, it says that the observed Christmas Day is Friday, December 24th, and the day before Christmas is, wait a minute, back up. It says that we need to switch Christmas Day and the day before Christmas, because right now, Christmas Day is on the 23rd, and the day before Christmas is listed as the 24th.
Typo.
Well, yes, I mean, so we're looking at 2021. What day
It
is
should be on a
Christmas?
Saturday.
It's a Thursday and a Friday. Saturday is Christmas, actually.
Yeah,
So we're
Saturdays.
observing them on Thursday and Friday, the
Correct.
23rd and 24th.
correct.
But the way it's listed, it says Christmas Day comes before, the day before Christmas.
We'll fix that.
That's the only problem I saw. It was just a technical problem.
Okay.
So if we make that correction, can we go forward with the vote? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, so moved. Okay, now Randy, we're doing the 2021 meeting schedule and refuse holiday schedule. So we need a motion to approve both of these for 2021.
I'll make
I'll
the
make
motion.
that motion.
Clayton and Prendergast. Any changes, any questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, so moved.
But John, I just wanted to point out that my agenda only is only showing approval 21 meeting schedule and refuge holiday. That's the
Right.
only thing that's in that as far as schedules. So that's why I was confused.
Okay,
Yeah, I was asking about the refuge too, but I misspoke.
okay. So we're good?
We're good.
Okay. The next one I'm going to have Ralph talk about, the volunteer corps for the parks, pathway, snow removal, trash pickup, etc.
Well, I know council members have mentioned, about, especially we're looking at the budget and going through the budget season, about trying to address getting the sidewalks in the parks removed as far as snow. And, I know there's litter from time to time, and our parks crew does in the summer, they're there, but over the winter months, so late fall to mid-spring, late spring, there's no physical employees in the park system, and we don't have the budget for it currently. So what I thought, and this is done all over the place, is try to get a core group of volunteers, that people who have snow blowers and don't mind getting some, the borough could provide some of those litter pickup type things and whatever to make it very comfortable to do this. But it just takes a little bit of organization and somebody, maybe an email chain or to put it together and say, okay, Saturday at 6 a.m. or whatever time, show up down there and we'll do the walkway or we'll do the whatever. So I think we need to explore this, as an option and pursue it and see if it's viable before we start looking at raising taxes and things like that. I think there's at least a possibility of getting the job done and done very well through some volunteers.
Would that
Ralph,
be-
I think that's a good idea, Ralph. I would suggest though that if we do snow blowers, we only do that on the paved part of the park, over on the far side.
Yeah, they're not happy with pavers.
Yeah, I wouldn't, I would suggest hand shoveling the gazebo side of the park. And then snow blowing the paved part across the bridge.
It sounds like what we need to do is refer this to Parks and Rec to create a plan and then bring it back to council. Because there's also the waterfront development area, there's as well as Talleyrand Park, and to some extent, a little bit of Cross Park.
Well, I would concentrate on just Talleyrand, not the waterfront at this point. And maybe we can get to that, but I'd be willing to help try to recruit some volunteers.
So, okay, so we'll refer this to Parks and Rec, and we can create a plan and bring it back to council.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other old business? Seeing none, moving on to new business. Ralph, you want to start off?
Sure. Almost every year we put together a little open house get together to recognize our retirees, employees, elected officials, what have you. And unfortunately this year, because of the COVID crisis, we're not going to do that at this point in time. When it's deemed, safe, we will reschedule it and have some kind of ceremony, some kind of open house at that point in time. So on behalf of the borough, I want to say thank you to all of our retirees, and we wish you well in your new chapter of your life. And we look forward to having you back at some point when everything's good to go. We can get together and shake your hand and tell you what a job well done. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Ralph. I concur entirely.
Thank you.
Next is the ABC appointments, which are authorities, boards, and commissions. And this gets a little complicated, so I'm going to try to do this in like 3 steps. The first one is we've had one person who has come back who said that he would like to be reappointed and has completed the volunteer application. So I would like, first of all, to have a motion to reappoint Michael Thur to the Shade Tree Commission for a 5-year period ending 12/31/2025.
I think it's a 4-year period according to the data sheet I have.
No, there was an issue last year, and Ralph and I talked about this afternoon. We had originally had everybody at 4 years, and the state for the Shade Tree Commission changed the law, and they're all supposed to be 5-year things. So last year, we appointed one person to end in 2024, which was a full 5-year position. And then this year, we were going to reappoint the other 2 people to a 3-year and a 5-year position so that we could get them all staggered. So Michael Thur would be the 5-year one.
Okey dokey.
So I need a motion to accept that.
I'll make the motion for Michael Thayer to be reappointed for a 5-year length of term to the Shade Tree Commission.
Okay, and second from somebody?
I'll second.
Randy? Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. The second motion is for the 3 people who said they want to continue, but we don't have their volunteer applications yet. So this would be a conditional approval for 4 years for all 3 of them, ending on 12/31/2024, pending proof of completion of the application. It's Frank Haldeman for the IDA, Greg Brown for the Sewer and Water Authority, and James Mills for the Planning Commission.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Okay, that
I'll
was second.
Brackville
Who was first?
Johnson.
Okay, Brackville, thank you. Brackville and Johnson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay. Now, the rest of them, we have not heard from, or there are vacancies. So we're going to hold off on those. And there are 5 seats expiring on December 31st, 2020. These positions are in the Civil Service Commission for 6 years, the Library Board for 4 years, 1 Shade Tree Commission for 3 years, and the Zoning Hearing Board for 5 years. In addition to that, there are 2 regular seats that have interim terms expiring for HARB in 2023, and the Housing Appeals Board has 2 vacancies expiring in 2024. Both of these cases, we haven't had anybody in these positions for a year, so we need to go out and try to recruit really hard for them. In addition to that, there are 2 alternate seats that need to be filled. One is on the Civil Service Commission expiring in 2026, and an alternate vacancy on the Zoning Hearing Board expiring in December of next year. So if you know of anybody that's interested, please have them apply and we can do that. Go ahead, Melissa.
Justin Miller was reappointed on the library board in November. His term actually ended at the end of 2019.
So he doesn't need to have a motion to approve for 4 years through 2024?
No. I can ask Robin to send you the list of the appointees and their updated times.
Okay, so
I
he's
think there
already,
was-
so he's already taken care of, but we didn't go through the formal approval process at our end.
He was supposed to be approved at the end of 2019. He was not. We approved him in November.
But the council did not approve him. That's what I think the problem is we need to concur
Yes.
with that. We did?
Yes, we have it. I just looked it up in our notes. It was November
Okay.
that we did it.
Okay, so when will his expire?
2023.
Okay. We need to correct that on the website then.
Okay.
And my term would end now, and Deb's taking that over. And then there's one other from our borough that I'll get that information to you.
Okay, so this one's already taken care of. Okay, thanks for the
Yep.
update.
No problem.
Did anybody hear, Ralph, or have you heard from Dave Proban at all? I sent
No.
the annual report out for the civil service, but I got a response back from Richard, but I didn't get one back from Dave at all. So I don't know if he's out of town or if I got the wrong email.
No, we haven't heard from him.
I don't think we have. Alyssa's here in the office is handling all that.
Okay, I can follow up with her, but I'll
All right.
just try to reach out to Dave, because he hasn't said anything to me about it.
Okay.
Not renewing it.
Okay. Okay, that's the end of the ABC appointments. Next is the CATA local match share agreement and resolution. We need a motion to approve the CATA local match share agreement and resolution in the amount of $24,162 as our operating local match share for the bus and CATA service between July 1st, 2020 and June 30th, 2021, with equal payments of $6,040.50 each on July 21st, October 31st of 2021, and January 31st and April 30th of 2022.
I'll make the motion.
I'll
Second.
second it.
Eden and Clayton.
Just
Go ahead.
There's also the capital side. Maybe I missed it, but the capital side of the budget is $3,439 in addition to the operating, which you mentioned.
Okay.
And I believe these are the numbers for July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022.
Oh, well, when I read the papers, it said 20 to 21. So maybe there's a typo in there somewhere.
I think there is, yeah.
Okay. So whichever one is correct, I think that's what we're voting on. How's that?
That works.
Is this what kind of change is this from the previous years, Ralph?
Luana called probably back in November and said they were going with across the board 5% increase because they have to match their state money and federal money with 5% local matching monies. And they said with the COVID crisis, they could not count on really any toolbox collections to speak of, so their way of solving the problem was to increase rates by 5% across the board.
And I'm sure they'll go down once the COVID is over.
Hopefully so.
That always happens.
Other questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? So moved. Okay. Next one is the Center County's Climate Action Plan draft for public comment. Center County Planning Office sent us this draft A couple weeks ago, they had a public meeting last Thursday, and they're now requesting comments from each of the boroughs or municipalities in the county. The comments are due on January 15th. So what I would like to do is have this hold an environmental and sustainability committee minute to review this 53-page draft and craft a letter to send to Center County that we could review and pass at the January 4th meeting like we did with the regulator this evening, if that's at all possible. If not, because the members are not going to be available over the holidays, does anyone else have a suggestion how to proceed in crafting this response?
I think what you propose would work. I mean, you don't need to be with everybody to read it, whoever is on that committee. And
So
then
that-
to the next meeting. My question to it would be, with this action plan, are they using information from like our borough put one in, State College, I think, put one in?
Yes, they actually contacted Don and me about a month and a half ago. Their consultant came and talked in detail about what we had been planning. I sent them a copy of our climate action plan, and they included that in trying to craft what they would be doing in addition to what we are doing. They're trying to work together with us so that we don't duplicate efforts.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm hoping, because I see so many, it looks like the third plan coming out already.
Yeah, what they did tell me when I met with them about a month and a half ago was that they're looking to do specific projects throughout the county, and the one that they want to do in the Spring Creek watershed is up in the State College area on Slab Cabin Run area. So there, as of right now, I don't believe there's anything in that particular plan. It's only a 5-year plan that would be impacting Bellefonte directly. But that's something we need to look over to see if there's any changes from that last meeting I had with them.
Thanks.
You're welcome. So I guess in that case, it seems that we'll move it to environment sustainability, and we need a doodle in the next week and a half.
All righty.
Fun.
Okay. And the final one is another snow removal complaint. And Ralph, you want to talk about this one?
Basically, the storm, as you all know, came in Wednesday and ended sometime early Thursday morning. And believe it or not, Thursday morning, early AM, I got some complaints and about the parking spaces not being cleared, the crosswalks not being cleared. And the complaints went on most of the day and into Friday morning. And I did say, I would look at options to try to figure out a solution. It's as you know more than anybody, we are limited by resources that we have. And our resources come from taxes. We're limited by union agreements. We can't run out and hire 30 people or, ramp up and then lay people off. And we're not like a business, that might be able to do some things like that and charge whatever they want to charge. We have very serious limitations when storms hit like this. And I want to read over what we did and the people that we have available to put this into perspective. We talked about it quite often, a couple of times this evening, but I want you to listen and just give this some perspective. Of course, it says Wednesday, December 16th, the snow started in Bellefonte around 10 a.m. We have 3 of the street department personnel worked from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. that night. 4 people, so that's 2 water department personnel, our mechanic that we use, our electrician that we use, worked from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Wednesday night into Thursday morning, where the first 3 left off. So it's 7 people working from 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. Wednesday to Thursday. The other note here is there was only 7 hours in between the shifts for four of those people that came in at 10 p.m. So 4 of those had worked, to 3, then got off and came back at 10, worked all night long till 7 a.m. Thursday, December 17th, 3 from the streets department worked from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. 3 from the refuse department worked from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and that they only had 9 hours in between their shifts. On Friday, December 18th, we had 5 people come in, 3 from streets, 1 from water, again, our electrician, worked from 12 a.m. or midnight to 1 p.m. the next day, moving snow. 3 of those 5 had to stop removing snow to fix a water leak, which happens. And they had to stop around 9 a.m. to do the leak on West Lamb Street. December 18th, also 6 from, we had 3 from streets, 1 from water. Maybe I went over that. No, they worked 3 from streets, 1 from water, 1 mechanic, and our electrician worked from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. Saturday morning with those truck haulers that we talked about. Those were contractors. And haul the snow that was piled up in the metered area and in the parking lots out of town. And the last note here is there was 9 hours in between the shifts for 5 of those people, and 7 hours between the shifts for one of the 6. So we don't have the labor. We may have a truck here or there, but we don't even have the trucks when a big storm hits. We have to contract out equipment to bring it in. That's all the bodies we had. We didn't have any bodies to do the parks or do sidewalks. And you can see even you have residents that complain that we get we plow back after they shovel and snow ends up on our sidewalk. The same thing happens to us on our sidewalks along Water Street or wherever, PennDOT roads. We clean them, they get plowed back, and we have a hard time keeping up ourselves. And I'm just trying to show if you want the town spotless at 9 a.m. after a 16-inch snowstorm the night before, we have to do something different. There's no way physically or financially currently we have the resources to handle that and meet that kind of expectation.
I'll say something.
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
I think the business owners have to realize that we did the best we could with what we had. If they want something more for a huge snowstorm like we just had, they should pony up for additional resources. It's not, we did what we could, and under normal circumstances, it wouldn't have been an issue. So they just have to realize it was an extraordinary event. They'll get over it.
I think we all understand that there's always going to be complaints. And I think we're perfectly justified to say we've done the best we can with what we got to work with. And we're sorry, we'll try to do better. And that's all we can do. But we're always going to get complaints. You could do the best job you want to do. Someone left a piece of snow on the sidewalk, someone would complain. So
you have that right, Tom.
It's just part of living. So
part of being, it's part of being a public servant.
So Ralph put on the agenda that we might want to consider a central business improvement tax, like what is done in State College, to deal with these sorts of issues. Do we want to send something like this to the Finance Committee to review to see what the possibility is, or do we just want to let this go? I'm willing to go either way.
I'm thinking we should let it go for right now.
I would suggest if you're going to do that, you take that to DBI, have them do a survey, find out what the feelings of the businesses are and go from there. But I wouldn't just arbitrarily do it without lots of input through the chamber or through DBI or joint effort.
You got a good plan there, Tom.
Well, I'm not going to argue with going with DBI, but the other side of it is, I guess I've lived in town since '85, and you know, we've had heavy snowstorms before, and I don't recall the outcome being significantly different than what we went through this time.
And we had I'm sure we had just as many complaints last time.
Well, I don't know about the complaints, but I do recall the snow piles looking about the same, and they're piled where you can pile them, and you know, there's always there's always people that are parked that they're supposed to be an alternate street parking, and yes, they're parked where they shouldn't be, and that means you can't plow through them. So it becomes a mess downtown, but that there's nothing you can do about it. And Ralph, is it significantly different now than it was in those prior years, or am I just delusional?
No, but I think, I don't know if, you know, social media or whatever, people have more outlets or whatever, but you know, maybe they're frustrated from being pinned up with COVID. I don't know, but you know, we're hearing about a lot of complaints.
It's
They
just
need snow
easier.
shovels, Ralph.
It's just
Why you
easier to
get paid.
complain these days. Easier to
That's why he
complain.
gets paid the big bucks.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
so what I'm hearing, unless someone tells me different, is that we'll just kind of monitor these kinds of complaints and concerns, and if it continues, then we'll refer to finance to do, and possibly DBI to deal with the issue.
That
Yeah,
sounds
that-
good.
Yeah, 'cause I'm sure the downtown businesses do not want a tax increase.
I would follow up on Tom's suggestion, and I'd have the discussion with the DBI people, the community, and be,
I
say,
agree.
okay, we've had some complaints. How would you like to help us make that possible? And maybe it all just ends right there.
So Ralph, do you want to contact DBI and see what their thoughts are?
I will do that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other new business? Randy, you're muted.
Sorry. So do we have a policy on snow removal, Ralph? Something written or not?
Yes, if you're,
Okay.
well, let's clarify, you know, sidewalks, there's a 24-hour after the snow policy for removal. I don't know what all you mean.
Well,
beyond-
what I'm saying is if the complaint is downtown parking on the street parking, is there a way that we could develop a snow removal plan that gets cars into parking lots and gets the streets cleared so that they can be plowed? We get the stuff piled up to a point where we can remove it at another time, but at least we're getting through to the parking spaces. And then you go back the next time and do the parking lots, because now there's parking on the street. I don't know. I mean, I
think
had
we're
worked out a
gonna,
few scenarios when I was doing it, but there's might be options out there if we looked at them.
yeah, are we gonna discuss some of this under streets?
We could add that too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
to
Randy,
streets.
yeah, so we're gonna talk about it, and the same things you're mentioning are going to be, I think, on the table.
Okay. So give it to streets.
Yeah, sure.
Anybody else have any comments? Anything else for the good of the cause? Who wants to make a motion to adjourn?
I was just
So
gonna say
moved.
that.
Rockville.
Randy and Prendergast. Seeing no objection, we are adjourning at 9:29 PM.
Thank you very much, everybody.
We
Take
will
care.
continue on as an executive session for council members and the mayor only.
Yeah, so